Probably one of the best principals, and if not, one of the best motivational speakers we have in a long time. Principal Bollar, everybody, get some good energy. Pleasure, sir. Pleasure, sir. Everyone have a seat point, please.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. I know what the parents are thinking. I know what you're thinking.
Great looking guy.
6'7". Size 14 shoe. No, I'm not a professional basketball player. Yes, I can play basketball. No, I will not do it for you. Yes, I can dunk the ball. No, I will not do it for you. Yes, I played basketball in high school. No, I did not play basketball in college. And no, I do not know any professional basketball players. Okay? My name is Steve Bollar. I'm the principal of Hartford Upper Elementary School. And I'm also known as Stand Tall Steve. I'm a motivational speaker. I travel around the country giving motivational talks to students, teachers, adults, corporations, all over the place. But the one thing that you can't miss whenever you see me is that I am a walking stereotype. 6'7", black man, bald head, I gotta be a basketball player. But I'm not. I kind of go against what it is that people think that I should do. Part of what I want to talk to you about today is two different things. One, I want to talk to you just the basics about bullying, being different, and how to work through being different. And then I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about this bullying law and how it pertains directly to schools, and pertains to parents, and pertains to students, and how that works with you. On a personal end, just so you know about me, when I was in 8th grade, in the beginning of 8th grade, I was 5'8". At the end of 8th grade, I was 6'1". 5'8", 6'1" in one school year. Not one calendar year, one school year. That's a lot of growing to do in one school year. When you grow that fast in that short amount of time, you end up having a few different type of complications. I had a lot of growing pains. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, you have growing pains, a little ache here, a little ache there. No, I had severe, severe growing pains. I ended up having to go to Alfred I. DuPont Hospital. They put a Holter monitor on me for several weeks to check my heart to make sure it's catching up and keeping up with the rest of my body. Now, for those of you who don't know what a Holter monitor is, what it is a bunch of little things that they stick all over your chest with a bunch of wires on it, and it's connected to this bag that you have to carry around that reads your heart rate, okay, and how your heart beats. So just imagine being in 8th grade. I'm kind of awkward and growing quickly, and I have to walk around with a purse. I'm walking around with a purse. I'm awkward, I'm kind of goofy. I'm 13 with size 13 shoe. I can barely walk around because I trip over myself. And my voice is kind of messed up a little bit. I was a #1 target for bullying. Even though I may have been a little taller than everyone else, I got bullied quite a bit. I got called all kind of crazy names. Jolly Brown Giant. I got called Daddy Longlegs. I got called so many weird, crazy things. And some of the parents might remember a short little cartoon that used to come on called Willie Survived. Did anybody remember Willie Survived? It was a short little cartoon snippet that used to come on. And this little black boy was in the show, and he wore glasses. I wore a little goofy glasses. And he'd always get into trouble or do weird things. And you always wondered if he would survive. His name was Willie. Willie Survived. So they called me that even as well. So I had to find a way to go through life, and particularly in 8th grade, to get through and not get bullied or stand up to those around me who would bully me. You know, there's one situation. I was in 8th grade, and I had a teacher. His name was Mr. Bond, and it was my social studies class. And I sat in the front row right next to the door. And the reason why I sat in the front is because my last name was Bollar, and they did it alphabetically, so I pretty much sat in the front. Now, Mr. Bond was a very tall and formal man. He stood very straight and tall, and he spoke very deeply. He looked like Abraham Lincoln going bald. One day in class, he says to me, Mr. Bollar, please read the next paragraph. Now, I have to understand, I was growing very quickly, 5'8", 6'1". Not only was I very clumsy, I had a lot of problems, my voice was toe up. My voice was jacked up. It was toe up from the flow up. So, of course, I acted like any other 8th grade student would do, with an attitude and didn't want to read. No, I'm not reading. Mr. Bollar, please read the next paragraph. This is what I do. Bollar, please read the next paragraph for your after school with me. Now you have to understand my father. My father's a 6'6" military man and minister. I'm not staying after school. It's just not happening. So, and remember, my voice was toe up from the, who remembers? Flow up. Thank you for saying flow. Most people say floor. It's flow up. My voice was toe up from the flow up. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to talk out. Because not only would I be a problem, I was terrified about it. Mr. Bollar, please read the next paragraph for your after school with me. So I picked up my book. I opened it up. The 17th anniversary! The I read the whole paragraph. Voice tore up from the floor. Now, it wasn't that bad, but to me, it was that bad. I sat there with my head down. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is terrible. I wasn't even worried about the ladies and the girls in the classroom. I wasn't worried about the fellas in the classroom. Because I know if I turned around, they would all be looking like this. I was worried about Marcus. Marcus was the biggest bully in school. Marcus stood 4 foot nothing. But he was the biggest bully in school. If you did one thing wrong, you stepped out of line one time, you said one thing the wrong way, Marcus would be all over your case. Talking about you, talking about your family, pushing on you. You didn't know what to do. I was worried about Marcus. Marcus sat in the last row of the classroom. I sat there with my head down. And Mr. Bond, being the good teacher that he was, just ignored it and continued on with the class. When the class was over with, everybody got up, got their things, and walked out of the classroom. I sat in my seat. I didn't move. Head down. Mr. Bond says, Mr. Bollar, please come here. I get my things. I walk over. Yes. Why didn't you tell me this was a problem? Well, how was I supposed to tell you? Well, just let me know when it's over. That's all he said. Thank you, Mr. Bond. I take my things, I turn around, I look out of the door, and who is standing against the lockers right outside the door? Tell me. Marcus. This is a 100% true story. I'm standing there, and I'm looking out the door, and I see Marcus outside the door. And I'm thinking in my head, all right, here's Marcus. I gotta deal with this. Oh, and I don't want to seem like a punk. I don't want to seem like I'm a wuss. I can't go running back to Mr. Bond. At this time, I'm about, what, 5'11"? This guy's like 4 foot nothing. I can handle this. So I go to the doorway with my things. Marcus does this. I do this. He does this. I do this. We continue doing this. I had a small concussion afterwards, but we kept doing that back and forth. But eventually I'm like, all right, what? What do you want, Marcus? What? You want to mess with me? What? I got this, what? And as I'm standing in the doorway, my friend Jason from the side walks over and stands next to Marcus. Now you have to understand Jason. Jason's a bigger wuss than I am. But I'm thinking, Jason's got my back. Word. I might have a chance against Marcus. So I step in, all right, Marcus, what? Marcus does this. Over to the stairwell. And we all know the beatdown takes place in the stairwell. I start walking over to the stairwell. Marcus goes to the stairwell. Jason comes to the stairwell. We're standing in the stairwell. Marcus is like this. Jason is like this. I'm like this. And I had no karate training, but I was going to show him crazy. Marcus looks around, he leans in, and this is exactly what he says. I'm glad he picked on you and he didn't pick on me. I was like, what? Yeah, man. His voice was just as jacked up as mine was. I said, that's amazing. Jason, who I had not seen that day, jumped in the conversation as well. Isn't this crazy? The three of us, our voices are all messed up. We're like three donkeys in the stairwell. We're still friends to this day, the three of us. The whole point of me saying this is this. At times, bullies, whoever they may be, are going through a lot of different things that you are going through, probably even more. I thought it was just me that I had the only one who had the problem with the voice that was jacked up and toe up from the floor. I thought it was just me, but in actuality, Jason had that problem, Marcus had that problem as well. And you can relate to them. Now, I'm not saying you go out of your way to try to make good best friends with bullies. No. But you'll be surprised of what bullies are going through inside their heads and the reasons why they are trying to become a bully. The officer was absolutely right. You need to make sure that you stand tall and you stand up to anyone who's trying to bully you. I tell the same thing to my children. My son Aiden also goes here. It's very important to be able to stand tall when you're talking to someone, someone's coming to you. One of the things that I do is a physical movement that I do whenever I have to go into a situation to speak or I'm going to a situation that's difficult is I do a physical little check. Whenever I'm ready to go into something, I shrug my shoulders up, I push my shoulders back, and then I put my shoulders down. It completely changes your posture instantly. And when your posture changes, the way you stand changes, your mind changes some. Your confidence builds. And you don't have to do it that slow. It's right at this point, I do it very quickly. Shoulders up, back, down. Change my posture, I'm ready to go. If a bully's coming up to you and you're having a problem, and you know, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to say something. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. And as you say that, you start having self-talk. You start talking yourself out of things. And as you talk yourself out of things, your shoulders go down, you start getting slumpy, and you don't know if you can do it. But instead, when you're talking to yourself, oh my goodness, here it comes. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got to stand up. I'm going to have to say something. And it completely changes your posture. And you say, leave me alone. One of the things I tell my children, if someone continues on with them and you can't get by, you say, who cares what you think? And you turn and you walk away. Mm-hmm. It's very important that you stand up for yourself and you say what it is important to you and that you will not stand for it. Now, as far as the situation with the new bullying law in schools, yes, it's quite different. At the beginning of school, from every district around the state, they had an in-service training for the teachers about this process. The main thing is this, and it's more heavy on administration than it actually is on teachers. With teachers, whenever they see a bullying situation or bullying situation is reported to them, they must let administration or the approved person, which was also a counselor in the building, know about that bullying situation before the end of that day. Now, they can do it verbally. They can come down verbally, let you know. They can leave a phone. In case they couldn't get a hold of the administrator, they can leave a message on the phone. There's a lot of different ways that they can let them know. But they have to make sure that somebody knows before the end of that day. Once that situation, a bullying situation has happened, that teacher or school personnel must write up the actual incident within 24 hours of the actual event. So first, they have to let the administration or the person or counselors know before the end of the day, and then they have to write it up within 24 hours. Once that information comes to the administrator, it's very important that we follow up within 24 hours the bullying situation. We have to make a determination of the level of what it is. Because sometimes we may think that it's a HIB, and that's harassment, intimidation, and bullying. A HIB situation, and sometimes it's not. But we must do an investigation within 24 hours. If we call down any other students a part of the investigation, where we're looking into finding it out, we must keep a record of who those students are that we've spoken to, and then we must communicate with the parents of those students to let them know that, hey, we have called down your child and we spoke to them regarding X, Y, and Z, whatever the situation may be. Once the investigation has taken place, we have, at the end of the investigation, within, I believe it's 24 hours, it might be 36 hours, I got to double check that. We have to provide written outline of the investigation and the conclusion of the investigation. We cannot share what the discipline is with all the other people involved. That's against law. We can't do that. But we can explain that it was all the discipline policies were followed, X, Y, and Z were followed, and that paper was then either sent home to the child or mailed home so that the parents had it. The good thing is the majority of schools in the state of New Jersey are pretty much doing a very good job with their discipline. They're doing well, and actually Hartford schools, most of Mount Laurel schools, follow along perfectly. The only thing that's really different is making sure that the administrator knows within 24 hours and the paperwork that follows behind it. The discipline that we provide, that we have to give to students, does not change. We didn't change our discipline outline, and most schools didn't have to do that. It's mainly notifying the parents appropriately, notifying the other students who are involved in the investigation appropriately, and the timeliness of the actions that we take. So that's pretty much what it is. All the students in every school in the state of New Jersey has to be updated and trained on this so that they understand the importance of letting somebody know what's going on. Right now, in schools, there's a large level of hypersensitivity. For students, that means that teachers are overly aware of this law. So, as a principal, we're getting everything. I mean, they're really coming down, oh, this boy looked the other one wrong. It's him, it's him. No, it's not him. It just means that he has a sleepy eye. I mean, just leave him alone. It's not all those things. But they're very hypersensitive right now, so we're getting extra amount of things coming to the office. But eventually, as anything new that comes out, it's going to level off as well. The main thing I wanted to tell you is that, one, make sure you do stand tall. If there's someone who's coming up to you saying something you don't like, you need to stand up to them. You can be an advocate or be a friend to someone else if somebody else is being bullied, and let an adult know. Because when an adult knows, specifically in the school, they're going to do something about it. All right? I want to thank you for your time, and as I always say, when you stand tall, you don't think small. Thank you very much.